Hi, I'm Russell from Amplify Automation. Today I'm showing you a voice AI agent that calls your website leads back in under 60 seconds. If you're a tradie or a home services business, you know hot leads go cold fast. Someone fills out your contact form at 7 p.m. while you're having dinner. By tomorrow morning, they've already called 3 other sparkies or plumbers. This agent solves that problem. Let me show you how it works, then I'll break down exactly how it's built. Make sure you stick around to the end because I'm sharing the full prompts and workflows for free on my website. In this demo, I'm using Retell AI for the voice agent and NAN for the automated workflows. So let's dive in. Okay, so I'm going to demo the speed to lead voice agent on my website. So first you have to fill out a few details. My first name, email address, put in my phone number. That you accept an automated call from a voice AI agent. So click on that. Select call me. In a few seconds we should have a call come through. So here we go. You can see just there. Hello.
Hi, am I speaking with Russell?
Yes, you are.
Hello Russell, this is Sarah from Amplify Automation. I am an AI voice assistant. I'm following up on your inquiry from our website regarding the challenges you've been facing in your business. Is now a good time to talk?
Yeah, it is.
A business and are interested in how AI can help save you time and money?
Yeah, I am. I'm running a plumbing business.
Great to hear that, Russell. Okay, would you be open to a free, no obligation 30-minute discovery call where we will listen in more detail about the challenges you mentioned and discuss how AI and automation could help your business? No jargon, no sales tactics, just real results.
Yeah, no, sounds great.
What day and time work best for you for the discovery call?
Could we do this Wednesday at 9 a.m?
Let me check our calendar for availability on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Your appointment is booked for Wednesday at 9 a.m. Thanks for your time, Russell. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, that's it. Thank you. That was quick, and the calendar invite has been scheduled on my calendar. So that's it. From submission to booked appointment in under 90 seconds. Now let me show you what's happening behind the scenes. Okay, so now we're in Retell AI. This is a single prompt agent in Retell. A single prompt means all the conversation logic lives in one focused instruction set or prompt. The details of this, it's important initially to set out the persona so the agent knows who they are and what their main goal is. So as you heard in the call, the agent's name is Sarah and she's a sales rep for Amplify Automation. And the primary goal for this agent is to book a free 30-minute no obligation consultation. So as you saw in the call, it met that goal. It's also important to set out the style and tone. This obviously can be configured how you like it, but this is a good sort of starting place around being friendly and professional and clear and concise. It's conversational and responsive. So those are very important things. You don't have to worry about trying to screen capture this. I will be sharing this, as I said, in links in the description after this video. It's good to give it some guardrails, keep it tone warm and helpful, repeat any or confirm any sensitive information, and if the caller seems upset or frustrated, you can use the transfer call function. I'll talk about that in a second. But it's also important to guide the agent on how to interpret email addresses and phone numbers. So, for example, for email addresses, say @ for the @ symbol, say dot for the dot symbol, and also just giving some examples of common email domains. Then also spell back guideline. So if they need to clarify what the user said or what the user spelled back to them, they can make that very clear. And also found with these agents the phone number pronunciation to be a problem. It'll by default would say your phone number is 4671 972. That's not natural. So just give it a prompt on how to break it down. So an example really works well here. So 971 509 874. So like a person would break down their phone number. Very important to give it its current date and time, otherwise it gets a bit mixed up about when to make the bookings. And these are input variables, so these have come from NAN, so I'll show you this workflow in a second. But I've captured the details from the form and sent those details to this agent, so they've come in as variables. So that, as you remember, I inputted my first name, my email address and phone number. So essentially, this is the sort of script that it follows, the task instructions, and you break it down step by step. So first, it's identifying that we have the right person. So am I speaking with Russell? And then they wait for the response. If it's yes, we'll go to step 2, and I'll show you that in a second. But if it's a no, we'll try to leave them a message and wait for a response, whether they can call back later. So if you go to step 2, be introducing yourself. So hello, person's name. So yeah, Russell in my instance. Just identifying who they are. I think it's very important to say they're a AI voice assistant, and not to try and trick people. And then proceeding to confirm that it's okay to talk now, basically, as you heard. If it's not, then they're not interested in talking right now. You can just use this end call function, which is a built-in Retell function, and it's basically tells Retell to end the call. So you've got some functions here. So these two here, end call, transfer call. I mentioned before that can transfer to a real number, or another number. This is a real number that I call, but it's another number. So it could be the business owner's number. And in this instance, it's actually my number. So just confirm that they are a small business owner. They are having challenges with efficiency and missed calls and things like that. So if they are, proceed to step 4 and look to book in. So here you can they talk around what the free appointment is, and if they're ready to jump on a call. So basically, if they say no here, then we'll say no worries, and we don't want to hassle them, and we'll just go to end call. But if they do want to call, then we'll check availability. So Retell has a native integration with cal.com, so you can think of cal.com, what is like a direct competitor to Calendly, but it works natively with Retell. So they provide 2 functions, which is the check calendar availability and book appointment. So first of all, it's going to ask what time works best for the user. They'll present the time, and we'll send off a request using the check calendar availability tool, so you can see here. And that's basically sending a built-in request to to cal.com to search for a certain set of times that the user's provided, and it'll come back whether they're available or not. So basically it checks the calendar that you've linked to cal.com. And assuming that there's availability, then the agent will try to book the appointment. You can see in the book appointment function. So again, that's a direct Calendly link, and we'll book into the calendar. And you saw that actually in action when I have my calendar open here. That's what it does. It stores it in here. So there you go there. Okay, so coming back into Calendly, so that's basically the workflow. It's final checked to see if there's any more questions or anything. There is a capability of defining a knowledge base. So I have an Amplify automation FAQ, and you can have one for your own business. This is essentially a document stored in a vector database which answers FAQs for you. So that's really important as well, or really valuable if customers have common questions they're always asking you about, and having AI be able to handle those is really valuable. Other parts of the prompt that are really important around objection handling, like why are you calling me? You can be very careful with cold calling. Even this is more warm calling, because you've got the opt-in checkbox and people have submitted a form, so it's more warm outreach than cold outreach. But you never know, so you want to be sure you cover that scenario. And other fallback handling, there could be technical failures. Cal.com could be down. N8N could be down, so how do you handle that better? And unclear requests, if the person's mumbling or you can't work it out, or the agent can't work out what's trying to say, then we can use the transfer tool call to call a real person. So that's the prompt overview. I'll just go through some of the settings as well. I usually use ChatGPT 0.1 mini. I found GPT-5 was a little bit slow in its responses. I haven't tested 5.1 that just come out in the last week or so. But 1 mini, and it's important to be on fast tier that has lower latency and has quicker response. Definitely go into the fast tier. There's different settings you can have here around temperature and things like that. Or if you're looking at structured output, if you're sending and receiving JSON data, it'll interpret that differently. As you heard on the call, it was a female Australian accent. There's many different accents you can configure with Retell. They could be American or Indian, female, so there's a lot of different ones to choose from. So this is a really interesting feature as well. You can define, but you could actually have the agent respond purely in French. Multilingual's a really interesting use case. The agent will detect what the user is responding in. So if they're talking in Spanish, it'll switch its responses to Spanish. So That's a pretty cool feature of Retell. So just going through some of these settings, I mentioned these functions. You can have custom functions as well, and a lot of other different things here too. You can transfer it to another agent. You can integrate with IVR as well. But a custom function, I don't have any custom functions in this agent, but you could be, say for Retell or for Cal.com, you wanted to actually reschedule or cancel your appointment. I've got another video where I'll go through that, but in this simple scenario, I'm just booking the appointment. Some different things in here in speech settings. Responsiveness I set to 1. I want to make sure that's pretty high. I want them to be as responsive as possible. This back channel frequency is a really interesting one. So it's just kind of filler words. It makes it sound a bit more natural with some different, these are the kind of filler words, like okay, Just makes the agent sound a bit more lifelike. There's lots of other different settings here. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can get some post-call data retrieval, so a call summary, call successful. So that's essentially here. You'll see, I'll run you through the end-to-end workflow in a second, but at the end of the call, it'll send like a summary of the call that you can store in a CRM and review later. So I'll step you through the end-to-end workflow next. Okay, so this is the end-to-end workflow that is behind the speed to lead agent. So there's 2 workflows. One that takes the details from the form submission. So you can see here my email address, phone number, the opt-in status as well, my name. So that comes through. Very important here, this if node. We only want to proceed if the opt-in is yes. So a user, we just need to make sure that on the server side as well that they've opted into yes. There could be some better get ways around it. We just want to make sure that they're explicitly saying yes to the call, because cold calling, I think is illegal in a lot of US states and definitely lots of other issues around that in Australia as well. But also to make sure you have the basic information you can to talk to this person, so their name and their phone. What you can do in the false branch shift is those data's not valid. I haven't done anything here, but you can send that out to an email to yourself to say, hey, I had a call on the website but didn't have the required information. So that could be something you could do here. This is more of an edit node, so just kind of formatting, getting the right data in the right structure before sending it to Retell. Put a wait in here. It's not really natural for you to submit a form and a second later get a phone call, so try and put a wait in there for, I got here for 20 seconds, just to make it feel a bit more natural, but to keep it still very responsive in terms of following up with that lead. And this is where we call Retell. It sends a post request to the create phone call endpoint in Retell AI, and this is the data it's sending. So it's the phone number that you've entered, your first name, other details as well for Retell to pick up, then the email address, and that's the ID of the agent that I just ran you through. That's very important. So back to Canvas here, and then what I do now is I store those details in a CRM. I'm using Airtable as an example. I should have shown you this beforehand, but basically there's one of my test ones. That was the recent one that I just did in terms of the data. That creates a record there. Initially it's not active, and this is here. So as I mentioned in the Retell workflow, there's a webhook at the end of the call which sends through like a summary of the call. So you can see this is it here. Basically it's an event from Retell called call analyze, so I filter that out. I only want to get the call analyze ones. There's a couple other messages that come through around call started and call ended. I want the call analyze. So what that is, it takes basically, this is the whole conversation in JSON format, but what it does, this workflow is summarize that for you. So you can understand the sentiment of the call, like was it a positive call, was it a negative call, and GBT here summarizes that and then sends that on to Airtable. We just do a quick validation check that actually the phone number is present, because the record in Airtable is matched by phone number. So I'll just quickly show back into Airtable. So this is the row here. So what happens when, again, what you could do, as I mentioned, the sentiment, you could change the status to be unhappy or not interested as well. At the moment it's doing straight to active, date added, and then this here just shows you the summary of the call. And then this way you could have like what is the sentiment of the call as well. So your sales team could come in, have a look and go, okay, well, this person was not really interested, or they were really interested, they're a hot lead. You could classify that as well, and probably also use that as another sort of sentiment sort of status here as well, and you could really focus on which are the hot leads and which ones were not the hot leads. Okay, so let's talk about why this matters for your business. So first of all, time savings. Manual lead follow-up takes 15 to 20 minutes per lead minimum. You've got to see the email form submission, stop what you're doing, call them back, have the conversation, book the appointment and update your calendar. This agent does this all in under 2 minutes, completely automated. If you get 10 leads per week, that's 3 hours saved. That's 300 to 500 in billable time you get back. So let's talk about conversion rates. So here's the big one. Businesses that respond within 5 minutes are 100 times more likely to convert the lead than those who wait 30 minutes. This is not my number. This is from a Harvard Business Review study of 1.25 million leads. If you respond the next day, you've basically lost that lead. Let's say you get 20 leads per month. Your current conversion rate is probably around 20 to 30% because you're responding slowly. This agent gets you to 60 to 70% conversion because you're responding instantly. That's an extra 4 to 6 jobs per month. At an average of $500 job value, that's $2,000 to $3,000 in extra monthly revenue. This agent costs around $50 a month to run, and that's a 40 to 60x return. So form submissions, they don't stop at 5 p.m. About 30 to 40% of all website inquiries come in after hours. Now those leads sit there until you check your emails the next morning, but then they've already called someone else. This agent calls them immediately, any time of the day. You're capturing revenue you're currently losing. So the bottom line, 3+ hours a week you're saving on phone calls, 2 to 3 times higher conversion rate, and 30 to 40% more leads captured. That's an extra 2,000 to 3,000 extra monthly revenue. $50 to run these agents, and that's about a 40 to 60x return in the first month alone. As I mentioned, I'm giving away the complete retail prompts and end-to-end workflows for free on my website at amplifyautomation.ai. You can find the links below in the description. You can download them, customize them for your business, and set this up yourself if you're technically minded. If you want this in your business but need help setting it up, or you want it customized for your specific workflow, book a free 30-minute discovery call with me. The link's in the description below as well. In the discovery call, we'll look at your current lead follow-up process, identify where you're losing revenue, and map out exactly how Voice AI can help. No pressure, no sales pitch, just a genuine conversation about whether this makes sense for your business. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.